It is a call that came at a time, at a very strategic moment. But I think that prior to that, we read that the Pope already sent signals that the Anglophone crisis should be prearranged prior to his visit to Cameroon. So if Barrister Akere made that statement, he's just reiterating a point that has already been made and a cry that Cameroonians have already been trying. Each time the president, the head of state, wants to address the nation. Like for instance, if you took in December, if you went to the opinion polls, many Cameroonians were the fact that he should grant clemency to many political prisoners and to others who have been there for one reason or the other, like the Fonjin Dams, the Singam Siwis, and those other people, which he didn't do. So they call for that particular exercise, that particular discretion of the head of state, because clemency is a presidential discretion, even though it's provided by the law, but he has the discretion. Nobody can force him to do it. He chooses to do it. At a time like this, is very strategic. But I wonder why they will always wait for somebody to say something to our own country before the government will have to react to it. But let's have the twist in that particular statement. The statement came at a time when the Pope has already made his announcement or gave his directive of his wishes, hoping to visit. Then Barrister Akere Muna came in to reiterate the fact. Barrister Akere Muna, I call him the child or the son of the house. The house means the government. Because he grew inside when his father moved from one political post to another, from the town of Southern Cameroon, from the town of West Cameroon, and to the retiring as the Speaker of the National Assembly, should understand the system well. The system does not work in a situation where you have to give it directives. So making that statement at a time like this, it is strategic, but it cannot be taken into consideration because it will be like, oh, Barrister Akere Muna said this, and then we said this. The country is not the one that wants glory to come from people. It wants to do what it wants to do at the time that it wants to do it and how it wants to do it. That is how our government functions, which Barrister Akere Muna should understand, should have understood how this Christian functions. And at this point in time, there are times that you said silence is the best teacher. The Pope have spoken. If the government will not respect the Pope that they invited or they accepted that he should enter Cameroon, I don't think that what he said, if they don't respect that, then they cannot respect the opinion of any other person. So being as strategic as it is for this time, again, on the second thought, it is not the right time for him to make those amendments. December should have been the time when the head of state is addressing the nation. You put it as your own expectation. If it happens, then we will know that he had already preempted that, was already in his speech, because his speech is not given on that day. His speech is written way ahead. I'm thinking that even the president's speech is written like 6 months before he even addresses the nation. They may only adjust one or two things there, but that speech is already prepared. So that is why you will see that there's more repetition of one and the same thing inside the speech. They may just move, remove from the ease, the worst, and then they fit it in the circumstances. So I think, you see, they say, like, if you say something in the morning, the impact that what you said in the morning and the impact that same thing, if you allow it to say in the evening, they will have two different impacts. They'll have produced two different results, and they'll be understood differently. But the aim is to attain at that particular result. So he did his best, but in the circumstances, because nobody will hear him. And nobody will want to implement that particular, exercise that particular discretion, because Barrister Akere Muna have said it. Even if they had it in the pipeline.
You raise the issue that he's from the house. What tells you that he's not acting from within the house?
The house does not want...
Already preparing the minds of other people.
The wife does not want control. The house does not want issues like that to be leaked. If the house wanted to do that, they would have sent a commission to sit and come out with a resolution. Then the head of state will be endorsing based on that resolution that his fact-finding mission or his commission has had to make their recommendations. But without the sitting and that reverment, that is what they will trash in the dustbin. And even if they have to exercise the discretion, it may come some months later But let it not be that if it's coming from an individual.
When you read through what happened at the Supreme Court today, isn't it already telling that something may be happening in the background?
Well, Cameroon is is the most unpredictable.
Yeah, you read
nation.
Yes. You read what happened at Supreme Court today, where the Naira 10 supposed to go back for their case to be revisited, a new panel constituted, and doesn't it already tell you that something may be happening from behind the curtains?
It does, and I think that I will a bit disagree with Barrister on some issues. Albert Einstein once said the world will only be a better place if those who react when they need to react. We cannot say the system is that system that functions on its own time and nobody detects what it should do. Then we should say that we should not even give our voices and our opinion on issues facing the nation. I remember on the 30th of August, 2018, there were growing calls for political prisoners to be released. And that same time, the head of state granted clemency to Barrister Agbobala and a good number of people. That was on the 30th. People should speak out, and I believe that.
And I remember vividly that day. The day before the decision of the president to release Agbobala and co. A sitting minister said that the president can never interfere with
the judicial proceedings.
Yes, he said that. Yeah, and the next day. Yeah.
And that same time, we're also having an event in the Biya Council. Mayor Kim of blessed memory had also made a statement that the head of the should not release these people. And that same event on a system. We are the ones that need to put December. You say, okay, if Barrister come up before December, it will still be that he's detecting to the system. So at the end of the day, the truth is, if Barrister made a statement that these people should be released, I believe that to do. Remember, when I was in prison, did you visit me? When I was hungry, did you give me food? When I was thirsty, did you give me drink? Will you say, no, my Lord, I was waiting for the right moment. What? There's no right moment. The right moment is only when you decide to be. It's now. So I strongly believe that Barrister Akere statement is coming at the right time, and this is not the first time that Barrister Akere is talking about the release of political prisoners. It's not the first time, and it will not be the last. And he, of a man who is man of the system and mindful of the fact that with his own experience outside Cameroon, I believe that in good conscience, it is bad normal to call for this. And secondly, he's one of those who is conversant with the case that was ongoing with the Naira 10. And so coming up now, it means that there is something, like you asked, there is something that he knows, which is in the background. Probably, I don't know, or we may not know, or we may know, or some may not know, I don't know. But I believe that first, as a presidential aspirant, second, as a former bâtonnier, third, as someone who is fighting against corruption, and fourth, first, as that one that will sit and sing, "Thy worth no tongue can tell." That worth no tongue can tell is the worth of integrity, honesty, respect of institutions. And that is why he's standing by that anthem, that since thy worth no tongue can tell, let us revisit and look at, oh Cameroon, cradle of our fathers. What is a cradle? That we stand for justice, peace, and reconciliation.
Yes, but how sensitive is the issue of political detainees who are there, especially the guys of the Naira 10? How crucial is it for them to be released?
Yes, for these guys of Naira 10, it's a very sensitive set of people, because normally they were charged with, convicted of treasonable offenses, terrorism, and normally the government puts a lot of pressure on cases like that, especially with the 2014 law, anti-terrorism law, which instead came to make conditions harsher for them, making leniency to be far-fetched for them. I think that even if there has to be some clemency, maybe the clemency is going to be most likely for those who may be in the after post-electoral violence, that people were arrested and detained. For these people of NERA, looking at the fact that their focus is to disintegrate the country, to cause separation, secession, I think the government is going to be very strict, a little bit tough on them. It's not going to be easy for this clemency to be given to them.
Yeah, but what tells that backdoor negotiations are ongoing, are not ongoing?
It's very possible that backdoor negotiations are ongoing, but we do not know. But I'm just trying to give you a general perspective of how the government looks at these people, or how the law looks at these people, or how the system looks at these people. Because at the end of the day, we know that there is a law, and there is also different implementations of the law, especially with this anti-terrorism law. You don't know exactly what is an act of terrorism. They just broaden it, and then they also put it as a limitation for clemency. It means in most cases, even though there is no specified regulation as to which cases may not get clemency, they will try to seclude those who were involved in acts of terrorism, keep them aside, and try to focus on the others. So they might be having backdoor negotiations as to this. It's very possible. As we know the way the country is, like my learned colleague said, we're in a country which is very unpredictable. So anything is possible, anything can happen, but now we have to just discuss generally the opinion of the people.
Okay, generally the opinion of the people. Can presidential clemency and Nji Lucas realistically ease tensions in Cameroon?
Yes, of course. This will be amnesty that would have been granted by the president to people incarcerated, given that he has the constitutional prerogative to decide as to these people's fate. And what is most interesting is that he comes in when there is already a conviction, when there is already a sentence. You know, the situation with Barrister Bala, Atia Tilaros, and a host of others, you know, what he did was, it was simply a pause for that process not to go on. It is not, because there was no verdict with respect to that particular period as concerning these people. There was no verdict. They had not given a verdict whether these people were condemned. So with regards to, yeah, they had not been convicted. So with the case of the people often referred to as Naira 10, they are not in the category of political prisoners because they were not for a particular political cause. But of course, as per the 2014 law, the anti-terrorism law, as we often referred to, they have the minimum sentence they would have received would have been 5 years, looking at it from those who those who did not actually denounce, to those who are abating, and to those who are leading as per the law. So when you look at this law across, the president in this particular case has every right to grant these people clemency. It is given to him as a president. So there are possibilities, and where I see these possibilities, it's based on the diplomacy that we do not know, because many Cameroonians are not privy to certain diplomacy. Given that, when you look at the entire situation, looking at the team it plays, looking at their attorneys that are involved, you look at people like Barrister Akere, he's part of that set team of people, and when you put these people together, we know that you have the aspect of the law, because when you talk about clemency, you're looking at diplomacy. It is not just a certain revendication of the people who comes out to say, okay, no, you must release these people. Presidential clemency has a lot to do with diplomacy, which this is where some people perhaps would see the coming of the Pope to imply that, okay, someone is coming whom the presidency, they reverence, they look at them with high esteem, and they want to use this opportunity to say, okay, this is what he should do. But I think that with regards to the presidency of this country, as much as nothing is impossible with them, my fear is that we have quite a number of different voices. The present government of this country is not in unison in most cases. I will go by the period where Anesine Kane died. The government spokesperson said he was now speaking as an individual, that to him there was no need for what they did to a candidate to happen. That is to say that the arrest and the detention itself was not supposed to take place. Now you see that that was an opinion of the government spokesperson. So there could be others also in the same government who probably would see these people as a threat, mindful of the fact that when you look at the case at the time as it was managed, some people consider it to be a rush, especially when the verdict was given as concerning the people who were arrested from Nigeria and sent to Cameroon, or arrested in Nigeria and sent to Cameroon. Something, there was some kind of a speedy up of judgment as concerning these people. And this is why the Supreme Court says, okay, we are going to reconstitute a set of completely different people, which I think that the Supreme Court is indirectly telling the president that, okay, you probably would want to have your eyes and your ears again into this same matter. Because it's diplomacy. Clemency is all about diplomacy. Clemency has no law that compels a president to grant you that clemency. But clemency has diplomacy, windows for people to sit back and talk, identify means to see what you need to do, looking at the tension that is in the country, looking at what risk there is with these people incarceration and all whatnot. And you know, as per 2017, between the time they were giving the sentences, it was relatively very hot. Cameroon lost a lot of military men that indeed probably was the reason why the military court that managed the case at the beginning and the team of judges that were there, probably they were, yeah, I want to believe that it also maybe had some effect on them. And one very funny thing with the 2014 law is that you don't have a defense per se, in the sense that once you are charged for this, they put the law as it is. So it is like you have cost the country a lot. You have threatened the position of the state, of the president. You have actually caused disorder within the country. You want to see that the country should be plunged into chaos. So all they see is to deter, because that is the highest law in this country that is being used to deter people from enjoying their freedom of expression as it ought to be, because it is not in every act that constitutes this. For example, if you talk about that law as it is, your daughter, who is a non-state actor, in this case, or put it vis-a-vis the case, what is happening within the restive regions. Your daughter, let's assume that your daughter is someone who had been a girlfriend to the non-state actor. Your daughter is likely to be called in that she is either she failed to denounce, or she ate and abate, whereas she has no voice as concerning it. So you realize that the legislator did not indeed think, because firstly, the legislator had no spirit of this law. The law was conceived with the spirit from the presidency. And what was it all about? It was a means to curtail, to deter, to stop people's action, to stop dissenting voices that will want to say, okay, this is what we need, this is what we deserve, and these are the things we did. And don't forget that this law was inspired, or they were inspired to come up with this law shortly after 2008. When we all observed how the nation was almost being given to people who came out en masse on the street, and they were almost taking over, you know, the streets of the country. So all they could do was to sit and identify how to quell these things. So I think that the president still has all, and I want to believe that, well, this is where some people, those who call him the marksman, those who call him the person who understands what diplomacy is all about, I want to believe that this is where he's going to have his joker as the person who exited the Cameroon presidency with a lot of praises. I think this is where the president is going to do something. I am personally convinced that President Biya is going to accept that, okay, yes, this is what should be done. And mind you, there will be some people whose J term will be cut. There will be some people who will be released. Not every one of these guys
is the Pope's visit to Cameroon being politicized, or it could serve as a genuine forum for reconciliation in Cameroon?
Well, those who say it's been politicized, they have a point, and those who say it should be genuine, they have a point, because remember, the Pope wear two caps. He's the Pope and the President of the Vatican State. And so, but to be very fair, we expect this because we are in the midst of a serious political crisis and also in the midst of a serious humanitarian crisis, if you look at it in detail. And one thing which is for sure is that the Pope visit is coming to soften the land as far as Cameroon is concerned. Remember that most of the members of government in Cameroon, the Pope is our supreme leader. He is the head of the church. And it takes blessing. President Biya is blessed that in his reign as president, he had seen several popes visited Cameroon. And so this will be a remarkable moment, a moment where, we are in the period of Lent. And so I'm sure within that period we enter Holy Week. And so the president, who also has been someone within the circle of a strong Catholic and probably an ex-seminarian, will understand that this is a moment of hardening your heart. And that is why you see that people are now getting towards the emotional and spiritual aspect to appeal to his conscience. Like barristers will go to court and say, my Lord, temper justice with mercy. So this level now, we're looking at the Lenten period as mercy, a period of penance. And say, okay, these people may have wronged you, and say, for the good of the nation, let us remember that the Pope the church has also been affected. We have the auxiliary bishop who had his canonical possession today was kidnapped. We have had a lot of priests killed and kidnapped in the context of this crisis, where even late Christian Cardinal Tumi was also kidnapped at one point in time. So the church is badly affected as far as this crisis is concerned. There was one time that a priest in Muyenge was beaten to near death by members of the armed forces, because they said that something happened within the parish and those guys passed and they came and got everybody in that parish beaten. And so you see a lot has occurred. So the Pope also is coming probably to secure the life of the church and the Christians and these priests, because all the priests are properties of the Roman Catholic Church. The priests may be Cameroonians by birth and by right, but by spirituality and also by fullness of their time, they belong to the State of Vatican and also to Rome. So at one point in time, the Pope visit. For those who want to politicize it, they have a point. For those who want to take it from the Christian perspective, they have a point. But my worry is that if anything was to change in Cameroon, it would have changed. Because the Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, came to Cameroon and talked about the Anglophone crisis. We did not have clemency. We have Patricia Scotland, we do not have clemency. Musa Faki, we do not have clemency. The Pope sent an envoy, we do not have clemency. Thank God that the Pope himself is coming. Because at one point in time, we were saying that, he sent the nonso and we do not have. He said, thank God that the Pope himself is coming. And this reminds us of the story in the Bible, where there was a certain master who had his farm, his fig tree farm, and he sent one of his servants to go to the farm. That servant was killed. He sent another servant, the servant was killed. He sent his son that it is my son, they will respect my son. He sent the son was killed. And now they asked the people that if you were that master, what will you do? And now the master himself said, I will go to the field and see what is happening. It is a replica of what we are seeing today, of all the men who have come to Cameroon. The mountain refused to move. And now the Pope is coming. Mohammed is coming out to the mountain. So what will happen? We expect a lot to happen. But there's one thing that pains my heart so much, is that we cannot, at this level, we must cool down the temper of the nation. How do you explain that people who have not killed are in prison? There are people who are killing people today, they are being sent to judicial center. Now you tell me the logic is that no, the logic is to calm people down. I have said that there should be a time frame for DDR center. That between this year and this year, if you don't drop your arms, because you are giving those like Mancho BBC who have not had anything a hard time, whereas there's somebody in the bush who say, hey, anytime I'm free now, I'll go and drop it. When I've made my money, I'll go and drop it. So you are giving them that window of opportunity. To me, I'm not go by the legal norms of whether they have been sentenced or not, because those who have arms, who have carried out more and have carried out more dead has been pardoned and have been sent to the judicial center. After a while, they will go on Facebook, insult some of us, start calling us names, and within that same spirit, whereas those in prison who probably can ease this tension, like somebody said that the dialogue should begin in prison, and perhaps the dialogue has actually started in prison, because when those people, I tell you, the day the president of this nation shall release those political prisoners, especially those in connection with the Anglophone crisis, our mothers in the villages will stand up against the armed fighters, because you know what it means to see your son who have left the prison, come back to you.
Yeah, but the problem is, what are the guarantees that you going to be released and not continue the fight? That's the problem, which leads me to believe that there could be some backdoor negotiations, because these things would not be done without some guarantees given. But the Pope is coming, Barrister is raising his voice to make sure that he does not just come and go. Something should come out of it with respect to finding a lasting solution to the ongoing conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions. But what can the religious body, civil society also do to make sure that it is not just a simple passage of the Pope without Cameroon benefiting from it? Can they engage the Catholic Church to make sure that they impose to some extent on the Pope to give accord some time to seeing into it that this problem is fixed?
I don't know, Mr. Leo, if you have seen the itinerary of the Pope's visit
I've seen
to Cameroon.
I've seen.
Okay. In the whole of that program, did you see any place that they put that he needs to maybe to have a dialogue with maybe maybe in the Northwest, or even have a dialogue maybe with the prisoners?
There's a place where he's supposed to discuss or something on that.
Yes,
in Bamenda, yeah.
Those Naira 90 and Yaoundé, they are not in Bamenda. But those are just rhetorical questions that we are asking to maybe ease our consciences and clear our minds. But you see, the Catholic Church, right from the days of Cardinal Tome, that we know, has been playing an active role in pacifying this nation and in watering the rigors of the state or of the government. When they have overdone it, the church, especially the Catholic Church, usually steps in to see how to water down the rigor. But you see the position at which they put even lead Cardinal Tome. It was at the point where it got to his back, they frustrated the All Cameroon Conference that he wanted to create, that he was calling on, for them to have a dialogue and a way forward out of this crisis. But throughout the preparation, it was being frustrated at one point or the other until he gave up the ghost. Many popes have been coming. I remember the first pope came was in 1986.
85, I think.
85 Pope John Paul II was in Cameroon in 1985. In 1996 again, he came to Cameroon. At that time, when Mr. Fundi have just launched the SDF was just like 6 years or 5 years old. The political tension in Cameroon at that time was very high, and everybody was like pro-opposition and against the government. The Pope came. Thereafter, I don't know the other Pope.
Yeah, another Pope. I think this one is going to be the fourth.
So all the popes, the papas have been visiting Cameroon. And the head of state is a staunch Catholic. And he was here, he's an ex-seminarian. He has been visiting Cameroon. Which means he goes to church. He listens to the homily or to the gospel. He listens to all of that. And there is pardon. And the pardon are in his hands. He is the umpire of it. He can decide. He can just come out from church. He does not need to go and sit in the presidency. He just takes the microphone and says, based on this message, it has touched my heart, I'm granting clemency to all of this. But he has never done it. He does not need any particular forum to exercise that discretion. That discretion can be exercised at any time. But if you have to wait until the Pope will come, and then you start to say based on what the Pope says, something is wrong with Cameroon. So when we try to understand Cameroon, like you said, then you yourself, you have a problem in understanding. But it is our prayer, and it is our cry. We have been crying that this crisis should be resolved. If the Pope says it should be resolved, it means, first of all, he has read the history of the crisis. Even though being a new Pope, he has read it. Once his priests and his bishops and all those his cardinals, they were being kidnapped and taken to the American. All the narratives they went through. So he has studied and see that this problem has a possibility of being solved. It is simply not just being solved. It is just simply being ignored. And I think that the Catholic Church, being the church where there were head of state fellowships, I think they have a forum where they talk directly. And I'm sure that when the bishops visited the presidency.
It's a forum where they talk to him directly because he's a Christian.
Yes. When we have who is the head of the bishops. When they went to the presidency, no, they have the nonso who is for Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. Of course, he visits the presidency regularly. You watch him over TV. And then we have the North Equatorial Conference. When they went to the presidency, what possibly could they have been talking about other than talking about the peace of Cameroon?
No, they spoke peace before, peace after, and peace during the election.
Good. So what? So it is something that has been re-echoed and re-echoed.
And the presidency has a chaplain. With the chaplain.
Do we really need the Pope to come before we take the way of peace? But we still thank the head of state for accepting that visa should be granted to the Papa to come to Cameroon.
The president has been giving clemency in previous years.
Yes.
We are talking about this one that have destabilized the nation, that have secluded Northwest and Southwest. They are like a country of their own. Just imagine what you mean, what it means to lose 1 day of work, what the economy goes through, what you yourself, you are forced. In fact, that is a day I call it forced imprisonment. Yeah. I was in Biya the other day, but I wanted to rest, but it was Monday. It was Sunday. Monday I could not travel out.
If the president were to listen and respond to this call by Barrister Bala, what are the Akere? Yes. What are the guarantees that you are going to preach the peace, because you're talking about peace? What if they were to come out and be more radical?
Me and you know that crisis has been there is no focus on that crisis anymore. Those who are in the bushes, are they really are they separatist fighters? Because now we have, the truth is we have the militias.
Yes, personal interest.
We have a personal interest, and politicians know who are there, who are causing those havocs. Yeah. They know who are there. So it is no longer the focus. That crisis, in fact, it has been derailed. And we are saying Anglophones now, they have learnt a lesson that the Bamile case learnt in the days of Makiza, when people were wanted and other people were being killed. That is what you say. Anglophones, they have moved towards self-reliance, development. And those who are still caring about who is appointed minister, who is not appointed minister, they are just those who have been like the jackass of the system. They need non-compensation. An average Anglophone does not care whether the country is divided. He is focusing on himself, on his business, on his activity. If those people come, who would they even start with?
Okay,
to continue the fight with the threats that already, with the fear, and if people want to be free, leave the government to go. We just want liberty. We just want freedom. We just want a situation where we can go to the Northwest and come back, and there is no fear, there is no threat. Nobody is coming to kidnap you. Nobody is coming to kill you. That is just the serenity that we want. Okay. I don't think that anybody is talking about separation for now. I don't think so.
Yufunyi Robert, watching from Gaundre, good evening to you. Elvis Radkisman, watching from Limbe, good evening. And for Kevin, good evening to you. And also to you, Rema Eyole Emil from Boya, chieftain of the Southwest region. Gavin Tata, watching us from Hotel Adurai Bonaberi Douala, good evening to you. And also to you, El Idris Adam, who are all watching us. Now, how do we look beyond the Pope and looking at us Cameroonians pushing for an end to the crisis?
Well, Mr. Kum, this is a very pertinent question, because people have different ideologies, how they see this crisis. So, personally, in my opinion, I don't even understand where the crisis, what are even the stakes on the table. I don't even know what is going on. I'm asking myself, what is the cause of this crisis? Which direction? In my own opinion, I think it's even something that is more of some selfish people who maybe are power hungry, who decided that, okay, we have some resources, we can finance people in the bushes to do these things, to see how they can separate the country. But now they saw that it was not going to be as easy as they thought. But now we have to think, what is the way forward? People are crying for the release of the Naira 10. Also, like you said earlier, we need some guarantees. The government will definitely need some guarantees. They are like, okay, if we release these people, even like you said, nobody is interested in separation. But what if these people have been adamant, they have been vehemently insisting on the fact that they need to separate? In all their recent statements that they publish, they are saying it clearly that this is what we want. They don't care about anything else. They just want that secession. So they might even release them because the government will have their fears. No government will want the country to be disintegrated. As much as we claim we have these problems, the government also is checking. If we release these people and then they go back and regroup and start again to fund these people in the bushes, because they can mobilize money from the diaspora and fund these people in the bushes and then create a larger militia, is going to cause bigger problems. So the first issue is to get guarantees. How are we sure? Because now also, even when they went to negotiate, who are they negotiating with? They don't know who they are negotiating with. There's no, even the people that were calling leaders among themselves, they have conflicts. You see today, Siseko is a leader. Tomorrow they say there is another leader. Voila. They have like 3 names. That this one is writing a communique. That this one started recognized.
There is Sako, who is leading a faction. There is Ayabacho, who is leading a faction. There is Chris Anu, who is leading a faction. There is Iya Marianta, who is leading a faction. And then you have Ayuk Tabe, who is in prison. Yeah.
So you see. So and now at the end of the day, everybody is fighting for their personal interests. If not, they should have been united as one. If they are not being able to be united as one, it means there is a driving force behind of personal interest, the selfishness. This one is saying, no, I'm the one who is supposed to be in charge, and everybody wants to be in charge. So with that kind of confusion, the government is not even in a position to start negotiating. Because now you negotiate with Ayabacho, tomorrow this other person says they don't recognize that negotiation. You have to go and start negotiating with this person. So it complicates the whole situation.
Okay. Barrister Akere is pleading for the release, for clemency to be granted to those who are in prison. But somebody says, good evening, Mr. Kum. I think Cameroonians are so obsessed about the Pope's visit coming to solve the crisis issue. I think it is total false here. He will equally give his advice for the crisis to be solved like others dignitaries have been doing. I'm watching from Bomenda Ifonsi. Essentially, he's saying that the Pope may make recommendations, but it is going to...
it's not going to yield any great results.
It's not going to enforce in any way, because Cameroon is also a state.
Independent.
Yes.
Sovereign.
Yeah, but the government of Cameroon is not answerable to any government in the world. I think that should be made clear. What we are saying is that in diplomacy, there are people you listen to, depending on what they have to say, the time, and what you are able to pick on the table in the course of your discourse. So when you look at the stakes, I think many are looking at the Pope's coming to also perhaps add some weight to the already talked positions with regards to the fact that the Pope has followers in the country, or faithfuls who apparently dominates in terms of Cameroon's population.
He's their supreme leader.
Great. So,
Not sure.
great. So, and we did observe, I think in Bamenda, how a group of Catholic faithfuls, when certain names were mentioned in a particular hall, how they express dissatisfaction with regards to that. So you cannot pull away these things, and it threatens the position of the church and what the church stands to gain. For example, we are saying that if you were to give a business to these people or an opinion and ask them that, okay, since you do not prefer this, and those who want the objectives of the Catholics to continue with these people out, they should raise their hand. I want to believe that in that hall, many would have raised their hand against the government based on that expression that we got when the Apostolic Nuncio, I think, when he visited Bamenda. So Bamenda is a very hot spot with regards to the restive regions. There's no need to mince words as concerning this. It's obvious that when you talk about the intensity of this crisis, presently the two restive regions, you have one that is hotter than the other, and that makes it obvious. So the Pope is aware that he has a majority of his faithfuls in this country from the restive region who are not comfortable, and he also has others who are not necessarily residing in the restive regions, but in other regions of the same country, who equally share the same opinion as concerning clemency, peace, the rebuilding of the country, and many more. So I think this is the background from which such is being discussed. And it is obvious that the upbeat of such people is not that the Pope is coming to dictate to President Biya. No, he's not going to do that, because President Biya is not answerable to any other person. Of course, I wouldn't accept that if I'm a Cameroonian, that he should take dictates from the Pope, because I know I'm sovereign, and I live in a sovereign country, and I think it's my fundamental right for that to be the way it is. So I would rather accept that, okay, he should add his voice, but not that. So when you hear people having this level of expectation, I think it's coming on the heels on this fact that the Catholic population for the Northwest and Southwest region dominates every other religion or every other group of Christians and religion within the said regions. So that makes it obvious that, okay, he's going to listen to that. Now, and to look at it again from what Barrister was saying, with regards to the different factions of the separatists, yes, there had never been a conflict or a war or a secessionist group that is in unison with its body. They have always been in factions, and every government understands how to deal with these people. The case of South Sudan, when you look at Salva Kiir and Riek Machar,
there are 5 vice presidents.
Great.
5.
Now these are people who were being settled with these positions. And these were the people who were involved in this conflict that was in their country. So in order to settle that and to manage that, it had to move to that. If you move to the War of Independence of the United States of America, George Washington, I still repeat for those who do not know, did not start the American War of Independence. George Washington at a particular point understood the war, came into it, knew how to lead, and that is how. So from the 13 colonies, and that is why the 13 colonies that started the United States, I'll tell you that despite the fact that America is a democratic country, these 13 colonies have the way it is going. I'm bringing to you this comparative expression so you should see the position that the government of Cameroon is not going to say we do not know who to talk with, because as it is, Cameroon is still Cameroon. These are groups of people who think they are disgruntled. Some are disgruntled, and some people think these people are disgruntled. So when you put all of this together, there is still a channel of conversation. We cannot roll out the fact that we have Mondays that have been designated because of Julius Tabe. For those who do not know, Mondays have been designated for Julius Tabe, and it was compounded when, rather it was designated when people like Barrister Bala were arrested after it was declared, and it was compounded when people like Julius Tabe added to the number of people who were now arrested. And so this is how this all started. So maybe Mondays that we have in total hijack could be released to us if these persons are granted clemency.
Okay.
You know, so there is that possibility. But I think that it's all going to happen in the course of the good faith. But I know that, like someone said, that President Biya is a marksman. I want to believe that his diplomacy is going to play the best at this point, because one thing is clear. He is indeed exiting the Cameroon political scene. In the next 7 years, he will definitely not be interested to continue. He will definitely not be interested. So before he exits, I want to believe that there are things he wants to put in place.
Who tells you that he will not be interested?
Well, you have the aspect.
Are you a medical doctor?
No, I'm not speaking from his health perspective.
You're talking from God's perspective?
I'm talking not from God's perspective. I'm talking from his activeness and his presence with regards to certain things. You bear me this fact that the way he was some 20 years ago is not the same way he is these days.
Okay,
so
good evening in the studio, sir. I'm Godlin. I'm watching you guys from Bamenda. Good evening. I'm Paul, watching from Bengwi. Good evening to you, and all of you guys watching from Momo Division. Good evening, sir. I'm watching from Edinao, Agnes Asike. So your topics are always interesting. Thank you very much, Agnes. And this one says, government, good evening. Government does not know who to negotiate with, but they know who to arrest. Okay, the Anglophone crisis can never be compared with the Makiza war. The government says everything is under control, but every day we keep burying our soldiers and civilians and amber fighters. Good evening to you and to now. What message will the release of these guys pass on to Cameroonians and the international community, as well as if they were to be kept back there in Kondingi?
No, I'll answer that just briefly. I want to say something. Those who say who are of the opinion that the Pope may want to come and dictate to President Biya, I think to some extent you will not blame them. The government of Cameroon did not debunk what Emmanuel Macron said in the case of Professor Maurice Kamto, when he said, I order for the released. We're expecting the government and civil society to come up and say, no, you cannot talk to our president that way. We're a sovereign nation. We're expecting the bar to also rise up and raise the community and say, no, we're a sovereign state. Did anybody speak? What does silence mean? The obvious. So will you blame these people now who see the Pope as the supreme leader of the president? Will you blame them? We have had, so they are also judging from history. So when history presents itself, you can only infer and you make a projection. Like the barrister, your cases are always, in this case, it was decided that and so that's why. So you will not blame. Now coming to the message, I think releasing these people now will give the President Paul Biya's regime a big momentum ahead of municipal and legislative election, whether we like it or not. The 2025 presidential election was a moment, in fact, it was a sabbatical for the party. And as I tell you, if that's why you see, whether people are saying the postponement is unconstitutional or what constitutional, it is for the sake of looking at how the political party can still maintain its power. And if you release these people, if I'm a political advisor to President Paul Biya, this is the moment. I will wait towards immediately after the Pope visit, we release those people. There will be jubilation from all the nooks and crannies of the country. And at that same time, you plan one visit, either in the northwest or southwest. And let me tell you, the people of the northwest region and the southwest region, they have had their sons and daughters in the dungeon of Kondingi for far too long. The moment where even those other political prisoners released from the north are released, everybody's released, the nation moves to a jubilation mode. And there are some people who are fighting now. There are 5 categories of fighters. There are some people who are just out of revenge. You will solve their problem. There are some people who just say that, okay, my brother is in prison, so there's no need. You solve their problem. There are people who were sentenced there because they spoke the word federation. There was once a time we were told that I should not mention federation. It became a taboo subject. There was a time we were told that I should not say amber. There are people who have been, those are people. So there are another category of people who are fighting are those who just believe that their loved ones were killed. And so they want to revenge. So you will not also take that from away. So when you release these people, it solves those category of people and they can easily convince them. Now in terms of the guarantee, what guarantee is it that somebody visit the DDR center will not go back and commit a crime? What guarantee? You must act in good faith. Just believe, as a state, just believe in good faith. What guarantee that somebody is sentenced to prison for 25 years of murder and is released will not go back and commit crime? What guarantee? It's in good faith. You must just, the law always act in good faith. And the head of state also need to act in good faith. Now, in terms of the international community, the international community will easily give Cameroon a green light to tell Cameroon that, okay, there's reasonable room for investment opportunities. Because as I'm talking to you, investment opportunity in the northern and southwest region is difficult for companies to install in northern and southwest region. Companies in northern and southwest region who are producing, they spend more in the production chain. Do you know what it means to a company, the water from my 29 to Douala, the fuel that you pay for those guys who are accompanied with guns, Ale and Retu? Do you know the security that you put to guys? So it has increased the cost of production. So when the cost of production increases, it therefore increases also the inflation rate. And so when this is done, it reduces the cost of production. Many more expansion is done in this company, and many people are recruited. So it's a two-way thing. Now I heard my brother Nji talked about the Monday issue. And the Monday issue is no longer about Siseko, because even if those who are released, there are some government workers who protest about this Monday being scraped up, because you know why? Because they are enjoying this Monday. This Monday, you may think that this Monday is an issue of the separatist people. Go to areas that are green. In conflict, there are 3 areas. You have green, you have the yellow, and you have the red. Areas that are green, whether they go to office on Monday, they don't. They do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays half day. Saturday they have gone. If our mothers are used to now this Monday, you try touch this Monday, they will tell you that no. If everything be equal, they will tell you that this Monday, it has become a way of life. It's a norm where people feel like, Master, this Monday, we should say on Monday. In the north, you are from Southwest. If you look, most of their program that you give to people is on Monday. Don't put on Monday will discuss. Why? Because it has become a culture. Even if they stop the conflict, it will be difficult to transit people from that Monday, because we are talking about 9 years.
So should we now?
No, I'm just saying it is the state that is to resolve that. Now, in terms of now the cultural aspect, what message does it send? It sent a cultural message in that there have been a lot of desecration of cultures. The chief will have the opportunity to speak, to say, okay, because this is, wait, if the day that the head of state will release, you will hear chiefs will come and give statement that, no, the chief sat and wrote a memo to the head of state, and so some of them will have the opportunities now to relocate back their palaces from Yaoundé and Douala to the regional palaces, and so there will be jubilation. So in all fairness, President Biya, please borrow free advice, free political advice. You will win the municipal election actively if you release all those political prisoners. Okay.
Good evening to you, great guys. I pray your labor don't go in vain. God bless your endeavors and efforts. Fire John in Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and the respectful panelists watching and listening from Boya ahead, and say it louder, Barrister. Sir Chief Njika Gabriel writing them. Good evening, sir. I'm Rene Descartes, watching and enjoying the program from Limbe. I enjoy the topic and discussion from the panelists. Happy Ramadan to all the Muslim brothers in Cameroon. Good evening, sir. I'm Dukong Rodrigue, watching from Northwest. Peace is all we need. Imagine us, the youth in the Northwest, walk even on Sundays just to cover the lost Mondays. We going to, okay, we lost Mondays. We going to, we need change and peace. God help us. Okay, now, personally, away from Barrister Akere, what would you advise be done to the Naira 10?
The Naira 10, like we have been saying here, that the question maybe the government will be asking is, what next if we release them? Won't they go and remobilize and stage the same protest that they did? That is the result that we're having in the Northwest and Southwest. Let's remember that those people were refolded to Cameroon against international law norms. They were already seeking asylum to get refugee status in Nigeria. So that is one of their defenses, that they were refolded to Cameroon against international law, because the law prescribed for non-refoulement. So which by implication, they are being tried as refugees. I had been in that case. I withdrew for strategic reasons. Yes, for personal reasons and strategic reasons, I withdrew. But I was part of the theme defending the state of Cameroon against those people. But in all through, I never made a statement, but I was listening. What was their defense? That was one of their main defenses, that they were seeking asylum in another country. So which means that if you granted them clemency, you are granting clemency for them to go back to acquire their refugee status, because in no way will they be safe in this country. That is even an advice for them. If they are granted clemency, let them just leave and go to anywhere to seek refuge and have peace there. Because the number of people that have died because of this crisis is as a result of that meeting that was in Nigeria. So it is not even safe for them to stay around. Look at Monday, like Mr. Lucas will say, Monday equally needs clemency from the separatists because Monday have been hijacked. Imagine you travel to the northwest or southwest and you miss Sunday to travel. It means you have to spend the whole of Monday. And on Tuesday, you will spend you will lose another day because you have to be traveling back. That is 2 days of loss of work, loss of business, loss of income, idling. Because that is traveling to me during the day is like idling. So Monday have been hijacked. Monday equally needs clemency. So those people, where will they even go? Most of them were not even in Cameroon. Dr. Watson, for instance, had been in Nigeria like all he's a lecturer in one of the universities, the University of Lagos in Nigeria. My colleague, is it Ayamde?
He was in Kumba.
He was in Kumba. Where does he begin now? He has lost all his clientele, his office equally, because if he didn't have partners, then rents must have accrued. They would have closed the office and the rest. How would they even begin life in this environment?
What do you mean? They have to start from somewhere.
That is the difficulty. Because, no, granting the clemency, the fear of how if they will not come back, that is the fear should just not even be a call for concern. That is my point. Because they were first of all refugee seekers. And one of their defenses, like I was saying, is that they were refugee seekers, so they were not even supposed to bring them back to Cameroon, that they violated that international principle of non-refoulement by bringing refugee seekers back to Cameroon. That is their strong card. And that is why they were asking Nigeria. Nigeria had to intervene and so on and so forth. Which is maybe one of the reasons why the appeal court, the Supreme Court, has done a renvoi back to the Court of Appeal to revisit. Because what is the Court of Appeal doing? The Court of Appeal's rules is to review whether the law was followed to the letter or it was flouted. The procedure and the law, that is what the Court of Appeal is supposed to do a review on. Else they would have sent back to the administrative court for trial. So they have, that is their strong card. They were refugees. Let them go back to where they were seeking refuge. Because like I'm reiterating, they may not have any safe place here. Because if I think of my relatives that have been killed, if I think of how my uncles were taken to a barefoot military camp and tortured, calling them Amber, when they had nothing to do with Amber, those people are not my friends anymore. Because they did not do anything, but they are the cause of it. You understand? So those are the issues that we should be looking into. They don't have any safe place. They cannot even stand as a threat again to the government. The crisis has already, or the particular function of the crisis, the root, the network of the crisis, the raison d'etre of the crisis has already been disintegrated. When you talk to a Northwesterners or Southwesterners, we want peace to return. What does that mean to them? Peace to return means if people was not hold guns anymore, just take away arms, then you can go to the Northwest or Southwest freely. You can go to Bamenda and you're not go to a funeral or to a wedding or to your house. My house is there, and you're not afraid that some voices will appear with gun and kidnap you or ask you for ransom or anything. That is what peace means to them. Peace does not mean that reinstates a Northwest, Southwest, giving them their territory. That is not what peace means to them. Peace means to them is that do everything in your capacity to take away arms from those who are holding the arms.
Just 30 seconds, please.
Okay.
The truth is, we have to forgive. I have had my brother and the wife killed by the regular soldiers. We cannot be saying we have to build a nation and saying that those who are there, they don't have a place in Cameroon. They have a place. What of those who are killing at the DDR center? They move around. We see Clovis and the rest moving around. We must let go, Barrister. We cannot say these people were arrested when we are not moved to an armed conflict. We have to get, sometimes the facts are straight. These guys are not moved to an armed conflict. And they are in no record seen calling for the key on unaliving of somebody, in no record, as compared to the ones that we are seeing gallivanting the street at DDR Center on social media every day, even attacking members of panel who are giving their opinion on how to move the peace process. These are Cameroonians, whether they seek refugees or not outside, they have a constitutional right to rebuild their life in Cameroon, and we have a right to forgive and to build a nation, because even those who are managing us, they are not perfect. Some of them have committed those crimes. So at the end of the day, if we start saying that, oh, because I've lost a family, I lost my brother in 2018 who was shot in Muya, Mount Keme Street, with a wife, buried at the same grave. But I have let go, I've forgiven. We must move forward. These people, their own is even better as compared to the so much general that have submitted their arms, who went to the DDR center. That is even the most painful part, that you see those who had committed heinous crimes, spend some months at DDR center, come on social media, move around, and he saw some journalists on TV because of those crimes, but we forgive. So we must let go and build a nation. That's why there's something called in Aramaic, which was brought in by Prime Minister Abe when he was building the peace process in Australia. He said that we must let go because the collective good of the nation is better than those who have committed crimes. You cannot be judging from behind. You must move forward. And he said our collective goal is very important. And that collective goal is the peace that let us look at Nji and say, I've forgiven you, you're forgiving me, we'll build the nation forward.
Yeah, but focus, much focus is on the president who grants clemency. Almost everybody says the president has the powers. Should focus not also be on the other side to be disposed, because it is one thing to give, but there is also another thing to receive and say, okay, I'm giving this clemency because I want peace, and then the other side is also not ready. How do we balance this, that in giving the other side is ready to accept and we move forward?
Exactly. That's I was about asking him a question because you spoke about forgiveness. But for somebody to forgive you, you must ask for that forgiveness. You must apologize, you accept your wrongdoing, and then there's a possibility for this forgiveness. So we're talking about a group of people who don't first of all see anything wrong in what they did. One. Two, they are telling you that even while in prison, they are willing to continue in that same direction. You understand? Now you are saying that they should forgive. So they are telling you clearly that, okay, even if you forgive me and...
The law, I'm saying that in the context, when the head of state release them, because Barrister's statement was, and if they release them, they should just go. Yeah. So my premise was on the context that they have been released, and so we forgive.
But she was talking on why. What she's saying is clear. They are saying clearly that they will not change. So if they are releasing them, the only safe place they have is to be out of this country. Because
have you done an opinion poll recently with if they are released?
Please,
let me talk.
Javis, when you spoke, everybody listened to you. Just listen to him.
Yes. So he asked a question. There's one thing to give, this clemency, and there is another thing for the person to be willing to receive it. This clemency is what? It could be a presidential pardon, it could be a commutation where they are getting their sentences. It must not mean that they have to release them. Clemency doesn't really mean that they will release you. They could decide to say, okay, they will cut your sentence from life imprisonment to 25 years. That is still a presidential clemency. You understand? But now, are the people willing? Because if they are releasing you from, if you are benefiting from a presidential pardon, it means that you have accepted your wrongdoing. Because the president doesn't just wake up one morning and grant presidential pardon. He has to have a conversation with the judicial bench to discuss. They propose even to him that you need to review this person's case because of their good standing. They have changed in prison. They have been actively involved in ABC. We see that if you release this person, they are actually a changed person. But if you are talking about somebody who, even in the most recent communique, they are telling you that they are adamant to, they want cessation. And that is the same reason why they were kept there. It means that you are releasing them to catch them the next day. So my senior counsel here was right to say that they just have to go out. Because if they have the same mentality, it means that they will still rearrest them. Because if they are releasing them, they are giving them a presidential pardon for what? For crimes of terrorism and secession. And they are telling you clearly that they want secession. It is non-negotiable. It means that when they come out, they will still continue in that light, in that direction. It will still constitute a crime. They will have to arrest them and bring them back. So she was not wrong to say they have to just go. In fact, they have to change the continent. They don't even have to be in Nigeria.
Is it criminal for somebody to say they want secession?
No, what I was saying is that they said
they were refugees, asylum seekers in Nigeria.
Yes.
And so the trials refolding them was already against the principle of international law, which they are perfectly correct.
Yes.
So if clemency is granting to them, they have the right to go back because they are claiming that they were refugees already. I don't know, you didn't understand this country.
Okay.
So that is what we are saying.
Okay, but even in that light, there are certain crimes also under international law that will warrant them to breach that law. Crimes of human trafficking, crimes of terrorism. So if you have a duty expatriate with a country, they will shift those laws to the corner. It's like the issues of the genocide in Rwanda. Everybody who participated in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, they have been brought, almost everybody. So even if you go, even those who had nationalities in other countries, the government still negotiated. Because at the end of the day, it's the two governments that have to work together. If Nigeria did not want to send Seseko here, he will not be here. Because it's not Cameroon military who went into Nigeria to arrest them. They had to negotiate with the government. They know on the terms in which they work, and then the government handed them to us. So you see that these things in issues of terrorism and human trafficking, you have extra diplomacy that goes on because these are things that can affect the integrity of the country, the sovereignty of a country. So you ask a question that is it a crime to talk about secession? In Cameroon, it is a crime. You cannot sit and say you want to disintegrate the country. It is clear, even in the constitution, that the country is one and indivisible. Talking about its separation is criminal. We should not put emotions in when we are discussing these things. It constitutes a crime to sit here and say you want to separate this country. It is a crime. So that's not the issue. You can always check. You have it there on your phone. That is a fact. It's not something that we have to debate about.
No. How do we balance justice, peace? How do we balance justice, peace, and national unity in this context? It is true that some persons think everybody thinks that they are right, and when I had professor really brought the other day, he said that this was also the moment for everybody to think of making concessions. Nobody is too right now, because for us to arrive at peace, we need to make concessions, forget about our previous stance, and then move steps ahead.
To balance peace and justice, it is subjective. It depends on the individual, because there is no universal definition of justice as concerning, or rather peace, because countries decide what needs to be done based on how they're motivated. And when we talk about countries, we are looking at governments. They decide on how it should be done. It is easier for us to look at it from that perspective. The case of Cameroon is a bit complex, because if you were to conduct another opinion poll, there are people who will tell you that the troubles of this country is coming from the government bench of this country. It is coming from the judiciary, it's coming from the legislative, it's coming from the executive. A clinical case is the bill that has been submitted to the parliament. For many who do not know, the consequences of this is going to spark another issue in this country. One, it is a direct violation of the powers given to the head of state to seek prolongation of the term of people. So you realize that the government cannot tell people that she is completely clean, as well as the citizens who sit sometimes and they don't pay their taxes, they don't respect certain norms, they enjoy some administrative tolerance, cannot equally say they are completely clean. So this is where we have to look at where we need to balance, because the case of Cameroon is a bit complex, like I earlier said. This is so because the Cameroon government is relatively not, especially the executive arm, they are not operating in that complete picture of a team. I'll go back to when the former prime minister was there, Philemon Yang. He was somewhere talking about how to resolve this conflict and to manage it. And Minister Tanganji was somewhere saying something contrary.
Yeah, but we've gone back. We have gone past that. Should we go back? We are talking about making concessions and moving forward.
Please.
You are taking us back to
please, Mr. Kum. When you talk about peace in a country, remember that it is only the government of this country that can talk about peace and reconciliation. They are the only people who have the constitutional part to call for such.
Yeah, but if
I'm giving it to you, so you should see that the first problem is that you must bring these people from the government, especially from the executive arm. You need to bring them first together.
Okay.
Then you can start meeting the people. I'll take the case of the All Anglophone Conference that was called by later Cardinal Tumi. He had wanted that we should have a common platform and to see what we can present.
Yeah, but Miss Nji, you're taking us away from what we are discussing. A call has been made to the President of the Republic. If the President of the Republic says this is where we are going, I'm not sure we're going to have the dissonance you're talking about. We are talking about the President of the Republic. If the President says this is direction, who will go against it?
Do you know that the President speaks from a law? Do you think if the President gets up today and decides the contrary, that violates the laws of this country, I will not take it? There are people who will not take it. Yeah. So this is to tell you that for the fact that I will not take it, there are people who will not take it, and there are others that will support the idea not to take it. Everything is built on what? First of all, the law. I just told you that in this country, the only people, that is why when you hear they talk about having a talk, having a dialogue or whatever, it is a government of a country that calls for any of the above.
Yeah, but Miss Nji, are you not saying something and the contrary? Because we are talking about the president. You say no, the president may say this, and this minister says this, and the other one says that. But when he raised the issue of dissonance amongst the separatists, you came up with justification to show that no, even in disunity, there is a purpose. Why do you think that in A, disunity should be pardoned, and in B, disunity is the core reason why peace should not go further? That's exactly what you are doing.
No, you got it wrong. I said, when you talk about peace, if I decide not to work with you, we will not work. It's simple. If I don't want to work with you, we will not work.
Yeah, but why did you not apply this in the case when you were talking about the United States in their search for independence?
They agreed together to work. And the first thing
you used it to justify the disorder. That's exactly what you did.
No, I pointed out to you how these people operate, and I told you that there were this faction and this faction, and someone was still able to
Miss Nji, we don't have all time. My question stands is, how do we balance justice, peace, for
you? These individuals themselves do not agree for these things. So what you need to do, first of all, is that it is the government that has to, first of all, put itself together and to identify amongst the people and to see who should be part of what conversation. Because when you talk about balancing, it is not a certain scientific work where you simply get up, you pick this and put this to get this. No.
But in the search of A, B, C, are you not balancing an equation to get a solution?
No, you don't.
In that search, are you not balancing?
There's a school. The thing is, there's a school of thought that looks at.
Because if we were to go the way you are saying, it means that Barrister Akere Muna should not waste his time because he has to wait until the equation is balanced for something to come out of it. Yeah.
No, then you still did not get the point.
They have a responsibility because the government, to a certain extent, they have tried. They have given they have shifted from their initial position, and though much is still expected, but also from the other side, they also need to shift from their original position because when you hear somebody keep telling you that it is either independent or nothing else, you understand? It becomes a problem. Big problem. Whereas this other person started by telling you that I don't want to hear the word federation. I don't want to hear the word ambassador. I gather the person, okay, let me hear the word federation. The person, okay, let me hear. Yeah, so the person shifted ground, and the person said, okay, let me even call in for a national dialogue on the 30th of September, which went on. You understand? So at one point, the other person, okay, let me just free some political prisoners. Yes. Okay, let me just grant the center. Maybe it's work in progress, because dialogue is a continuous progress. Or let me set up a committee to follow up the Grand Measure National Dialogue, and they will be sitting, and they are sitting. It may not be enough. But now, on the other side, it's also expected that, okay, in as much as this person has given a concession, I understand his position that the government is a bigger arm here. But also the other person, to a certain level, like what happened in the Nigerian Biafra Civil War. Ojukwu, at one point in time, accepted to sit without go on. Also, at the same time, while international pressure was mounted. Do you know, Mr. Nji, when we were almost at the breaking point of this crisis, when the Canadian government came in on board, the thing that sabotaged it was the arrogancy of the other side. Because when this thing was going on, you remember the government did not say a word. Yes. And when you hear a government silent over Canadian issue, know that there are some backdoor negotiations which are ongoing. But that same, there was a day, we just saw on social media, Ayabacho came and said, no, we will not. It must be, it must be this way. It must be this way. We saw also Chris Anu came and said, we cannot. It must be this way. After the Canadian government has sent out the communique, that communique was retracted. At one point in time, it compromised the process. The command came and said, no, I don't know what is happening. So at the end of the day, in as much as the government has that power, in conflict, what solve a conflict is that even the weaker power must at one point in time shift the position and say, okay, I used to say this, let me just say this for the sake of a breakthrough. Because if you look at this, yes, you may call the government that, okay, they are not willing, but to a certain level they have shown good faith, whether we like it or not. Whether we like it, I don't just criticize because I want to criticize. They have shown good faith to a certain extent. The question we should ask is, the other people, have they shown good faith? When I say the other people, there are a lot. Yes, you are right by saying that there are several groups, yes. Those groups have to come together, like in South Sudan. Let me just briefly learn.
Now, when you look at, I want to take a case of people like Professor Gobila, who is in South Africa. Gabila, pardon. Now, did you notice that the previous position he had as a separatist is no longer that position?
Yeah, he has changed his position.
Now, what does that mean?
No, he has changed.
Among those
he has changed his position.
Now, when you look at the other separatist leaders,
the thing is not.
Now, isn't that a shift of their
position? No, it's not a shift.
It's not a shift. From those who have left, I'll take a case of Gabila, so to say. Now, let me use it as a clinical case.
Using Gabila.
No, I want to use it as a clinical case. He has moved from his separatist position to what? To what he now calls himself a nationalist, right?
Let me learn.
Now, which means he was part of those who made decisions in South Africa, South Africa. So he has moved.
Mr.
So for the fact that he has moved, it therefore means that there are separatists who are moving likewise. So you cannot say they are static.
No, they are static. Gabila.
Please.
They are moving.
Please. I'm moderating here. We have the Sako-led faction. We have the Ayabacho-led ADF. We have the Chris Anu-led faction. We have the Iya Marianta. And then we have Ayukta who is in prison. Which of the factions have stated that we no longer stand for separation?
Yeah, that is where I was landing. I was landing that Gabila was just a member. But the head of those institutions, the people who have come up with my trip to this, pin that to buy whatever they were describing, they have not dropped their position. So these are the people we expect to even drop their position. Like
maybe they are also expecting this clemency. That is, they're expecting the government to go beyond the major.
Like he was saying, the assessing level, not say assessing level, to an accuracy that you must call for. You must accept or propose a forgiveness. You must apologize before clemency is given. Because once it's a legal procedure, you cannot abrogate it except otherwise, which we know Cameroon is sleeping in the dry season, except that way. But in normal circumstances, these people must write an apology letter and send.
Maybe those things are happening back there. Maybe we have backdoor negotiations that are ongoing. But in this context, Can the Pope actually do anything dramatic, or is just going to pray for the Holy Spirit to take control? Barrister, yeah.
That's an interesting question, if you can do something dramatic. But I think that the coming of the Pope...
Can he go beyond what the Secretary General Guterres, when he came here, what Patricia Scotland, can the Pope...
If you look at the mobilization and the euphoria in which the people want the presence of the Pope, it's like much is being expected from him. It's like he is coming... his coming will be like the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, where they've given him Hosanna in the highest, where the glory is, he will come in the name of the Lord. And the expectation is, you see, to the typical Northwestern and Southwestern have gone through this crisis, like coming with some Holy Spirit and some spiritual powers, holy spiritual powers, to water down the blood of those that are crying from the ground, like that of Cain of Abel, who killed Cain. So there is much expectations, and perhaps we are praying that some of those holding guns will come and drop their guns at the feet of the Pope. He is the spiritual leader. Once they have given him that power, and they say what you accepted on earth is accepted in heaven, they have given him that power. All of us who respect the Pope, we are not from his church. I'm not a Catholic, but we hail the Pope. And I would really like to see the Pope. If there was an opportunity, I could even just greet the Pope. I would really like to have that opportunity. He is coming with some holy power to come and break the grounds of wickedness, break the grounds of fetishism, break the grounds of, in fact, cleanse the curse from the blood of those who have been killed innocently. I think that, and that peace should be restored. Because some people have it that peace cannot be restored when the blood of innocent people are still crying from the ground. So on basis of that, maybe the pontiff will bring that pacificity, that Holy Spirit to water down the rigors of the crisis, and that peace. One does not know. They say God works in mysterious ways.
A session.
It may change.
A session is going to. I'm sure there is a session for discussion on the crisis with the Pope in Bamenda. Is there need for the selection of those to be part of it, to give credible, undiluted, objective information, or pass across undiluted information to the Pope? Or should we go the Cameroonian way, where the same persons are brought to do exactly what is expected of us?
Yes, there is something. I spoke with someone within the system who told me what transpired. The Pope was not originally supposed to go to Bamenda. He's the one that proposed to go to Bamenda. They tried by all possible way to discourage him, because he initially wanted to sleep in Bamenda, but they told him that the security was not guaranteed, and they tried talking to him. But he decided, now this is what is happening. The Catholic Church has an arm of peace, which look at Peace and Justice Commission. Now this Peace and Justice Commission will sit with the Pope and they will discuss on the issues. And now there are some people who are going to be invited in this. Now there was something that happened when the Commonwealth visited, that a lot of people were not reported. When Commonwealth Secretary General visited, she opted to talk with the Peace and Justice Commission and civil society, and she decided to call on administrative officers to leave the hall, that she wanted to talk with those people that are on the ground. Yes, and that is the same thing that may happen in Bamenda, because, and a lot of people don't know that was what happened when Patricia Scotland came, and she decided that the governor, everybody should leave the hall. She wanted to talk with religious leaders, to those who are on the field, to see, so that they will speak freely. And that's the same thing that will happen in Bamenda. He initially wanted to sleep, but they don't want him to sleep in Bamenda. That's why if you look at his itinerary, it's just going to be brief. And despite being brief, something is going to come out. He's going to meet the Peace and Justice Commission. Then when he moved to Douala too, a similar issues is going to happen technically, because the man in Douala has been someone who has been, vocal. And that was why the trip was Douala. He needed three places. Douala, they are proposing Douala, they are proposing Yaoundé, and they are proposing the North. So the Northwest region was a bit left out. The Pope himself, the one that...
Okay, but how do we get the real truth speakers to be part of that session, Nji, so that we do not select persons who come and mask the reality?
The bishops have the reality.
I think the apostolic nuncio
knows the reality?
The bishop, I'm coming, please.
Okay.
The bishop for the said area and the fathers put together, they know exactly what has happened. I don't think it was by an accident that the person who was kept by the non-state armed groups for several weeks was
elevated.
Great. So I think he has a resume of what has happened. Mindful of the fact that we equally had the late Cardinal who was also taken. So with regards to those who are acting on the ground, the Catholic Church has what I would even consider above most states when they want to have an information. They'll know how to get their information. So the Pope cannot be giving people who are not directly involved or people who do not know the reality to speak. I think that the bishop is going to do everything to see that the right people speak whenever it will be required. And I think it's also going to go a long way in mitigating, you know, the negative effects of this coming of the Pope, because should he be giving people who are not knowledgeable with regards to what is happening on the ground, he will definitely not have such information. And I know that there will be some people that are likely to be selected by some people to have him have a conversation with, but I want to believe that for him to have that is going to be easier. And I think almost everyone in the Northwest region, except they are going to ferry in people from somewhere, almost everyone in the Northwest region has the truth, including those that are working with the government, including those that are working for the state. They know exactly the truth as concerning this conflict. They know that on Mondays children do not go to school. They know that there are certain places that are inaccessible due to the crisis. They know that there are things that people cannot have. They know that some women gave birth while on the way because they could not get to the hospital, given that there was a separatist ban that people should not move on a particular day. They know that there have been people who have been killed who are not supposed to be killed. Everyone working in the Northwest region, to an extent, the governor of the Northwest region has this information almost more than every other person. What the governor has as an information, I want to believe that he is the one who feeds the presidency with information as concerning what is happening. I want to believe that he gives information to the Prime Minister, he gives information to the Minister of Territorial Administration, and every other person as concerning this. And he has raw data. Now, it will now depend on what faith they will be operating on, whether good faith or bad faith, to say the truth. The question is, what will be the purpose of the truth? Because the Pope decided to go to Bamenda, like I earlier said, probably because of the situation that happened during the visit of the Apostolic Nuncio. The Vatican did watch it. The papacy did see this thing. The Pope himself watched it because he knows that this is what is happening as concerning this. So they understand what is happening on the ground. So if you give a fake information, it is not that if you give him the right information, he's simply going to take it and go to the presidency and tell the president that, hey, okay, this is what is going to happen. Everyone that was arrested from Bamenda needs to be released, and everyone that was arrested in the Northwest region needs to be released. No, that is not what is going to happen. But it's going to go a long way in bringing solutions to the ongoing crisis, because people have friends, institutions have friendly institutions, countries have friendly countries, and so on. And when you talk about the papacy and Cameroon, especially the present Cameroon government, there is a good relationship. Otherwise, the Pope will not be coming to Cameroon. There are so many countries, over 55 countries in Africa, including the Arab countries. They still have people who still believe in Christ, and the Pope is still their Pope, yet he decided to come to Cameroon. I think this is based on the relationship the Vatican has with Cameroon or with Yaoundé. As such, he has this information. So we are only looking at, you know, when someone is visiting your parents and you know that your parents trust this uncle a lot, you want to move closer to this uncle, tell the uncle that you had this challenge and you had conveyed it to your father. Your father listened to you, and at one point your father is tarrying in bringing you solutions or providing solutions to some of these things. So this is where I think the Pope is going to get it. But with regards to the veracity of what is happening on the ground, the Vatican, even before the Pope would set foot in Cameroon, knows exactly what is going on in this country.
Okay, unfortunately, we cannot discuss the second topic for tonight to close this program with this lone topic. One last word to those who are watching us. Should we be too expectant of this visit, or we just leave everything to God?
Even the Bible says the expectations of the righteous shall not be cut off. So
Okay.
we are praying that our expectations should be cut off. Peace, we desire peace, we cherish. Everybody needs peace. So if he's coming with the blood of Jesus to cleanse the land, he's very much welcome to Cameroon.
Okay, and also to you, one last word from you, Lucas and Nji.
It's always a pleasure being here, where I think Cameroonians need to sit up. Please call your members of parliament. I said it here the other day. You have their phone numbers. Write to them. Tell them not to accept any law that is not building you. I said it here. Because these are the only people who can fix this country. Did you know that if the parliamentarians decide today, the head of state is going to put things the way they have to be? So these are people with enormous power. But because we pamper them, you know them, they are for the country, but they are coming from your constituency. So you know those parliamentarians. You know what they can do. You know your senators. You know the level of development with regards to your area. Call them. Tell them that if they fail to do what is right, they should be mindful of the fact that in the upcoming election, you will move to another party. So it's as simple as this. And those who are within these areas and do not want to speak, you are not helping the situation. So please, let us stand and do exactly what is right. Speak to your parliamentarians. They should not prolong their mandate. They should not accept in moving into illegality. Otherwise, someone is going to thwart whatever is going to be a law. They should not take part in moving into this illegality.
People who don't.
Okay. Yes, one last word from you. Are you sure the bill has not gone through already?
The thing is, if you are hungry, they give you food, will you reject the food? Somebody sees an extension of a mandate that will benefit his pocket. Do they even have the people? Do they even have the numbers of their
benefit his personality?
Will he not
continue to look
that
honorable?
bill will be received and fondé. Bam! Pass. Let's just start preparing.
To the head of state.
The issue now is what next. Let's be looking at the what next, because that one is done and dusted. We'll pass and go. Well, my last word is that the Pope is coming, and I'm happy, I'm anxious, because it's going to also be helpful for the people of Menchum. The people of Menchum, they have been praying that there should be a diocese in Menchum division. They have been praying because they live right from move right to Bamenda. Probably, maybe if there's a diocese, the bishop now of the Menchum diocese will now start talking about the issue of road and it's bad, that, you know. So they are praying. So I pray that as the Pope is coming, those who are watching from the Vatican state and who are part of the popes, they should please look into the issue that the people who transport themselves a lot to come to Bamenda, and so we need at least a diocese in Bamenda, in Menchum, and this diocese will help us, probably because at the level of the road we don't have. I heard some people were blocking the road to demand electricity. What would the people of Menchum even block to demand electricity? Because they don't even have the road, so there's no need.
Yes, Barrister, one last word.
So, what I would like to tell Cameroonians is that, because I want us to be realistic, I don't believe in wishes. I strongly believe that the Pope's coming is not going to influence anything. It's not going to change anything with regards to this clemency issue, or with regards even to the crisis that is ongoing in the Anglophone region. So the people should not even put their minds there. I think the Pope is coming for maybe a strictly religious meeting, which normally he will have to visit one or two places in the country where the church has a stronghold. I don't see the Pope coming for anything political, or I don't even think they will even bring up this topic, because these are issues that the Pope already knows of. even the governor, like you said, who has first-hand information, is getting those information more even from the church, because they are more on the ground than even the government. They are the ones who interact with the people, with the common man on a day-to-day basis. So the church has first-hand information. So the Catholic Church, where the Pope is even more informed than maybe even our governor who is there in the Northwest, but and strongly believe he is not coming for any of these things. He's coming for his religious movements, to see the people, and maybe to appease. That could be a possibility, because you know, in religious affairs, like, I am not a Catholic, but I see the way Catholic Christians, they look, it's like the way they look at Ayatollah. That is it.
It's not like it is our supreme leader.
So I think the Pope's coming to the Northwest is going to calm them down a little bit, ease the tension that I've been feeling for too many years, but it will end there. I don't even think they will have, when he goes to Yaoundé, he's going to have that discussion with the president. The president might not even have time to have that discussion. So that's my opinion, eh? So if people can be wishing, but I'm saying it clearly here. It's not an issue of wishing.
Do not call on the Amber Boys to come and lay their arms at the feet of the pontiff.
Okay.
That is our prayer. That they should lay their...
The boys?
Their boys.
They should come and
they should
their
leave
arms.
the bushes,
lay
down their arms.
No, that's the strongest prayer.
Alongside the bounty elite.
Yes. That's the strongest prayer for them to come.
And then those who have
those arms.
Those who have group militias, please withdraw your militias. Let peace reign in the north.
And I wanted to say, this thing has become more complicated. You asked a question on peace and justice. This crisis is even more complicated than the government. The government can even understand what's going on.
No, the people who have kept militias, they know themselves.
Yes.
So let them withdraw their militias.
Now that
let them take this opportunity that the pontiff has come.
The presidential election was enough to tell us that
the feet of the master.
People won election in those areas. So the government is in full control. If people can win election in those areas, it means everything is okay.
But they're kidnapping.
Okay, please. Thank you to all of you, Barrister Akwen, Barrister Bongam, and to you, Nji Lucas, as well as Tah Javis. Not forgetting you, Eli, and Teta for production. We want to thank you all for watching. Let's keep this discussion going back home, especially our prayers as we expect the Pope to come with extraordinary blessings to cleanse the land and also bring peace, lasting peace in Cameroon, especially in the northwest and southwest regions. Thank you for watching once again. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.